So welcome to Soul Centered. We are delighted you're continuing this journey with us. We are starting a new series. It's called Soul Centered Cinema. It's pretty much straightforward in advertising. We're building the conversation around cinema, around movies, because it's such a profound way, a modern tool to talk about ancient spiritual principles.
We also think it's a really wonderful way to bring these spiritual principles into a normal conversation, into everyday life, and into your families, into your relationships. So we're going to offer you movies that we find really meaningful and soulful, and then we're going to help you create questions and thoughts and ideas about those movies to get you really thinking on a deeper level, but also if you have families, if you have friends, to help them and you have more meaningful conversations. We are all in COVID and pandemic, and it is time to kind of take back our meaning and purpose and not just live in this unknown.
And it doesn't have to be, just going out meditating in the forest. I mean, Netflix and Hulu and all these other platforms are both, they have light and they have shadow. And if we just binge and lose ourselves constantly and divide, like in our house, where everybody's on their own screens, right? Yeah. It's divisive.
It's not healthy.
But when, we've used this movie and we've used other movies, which we'll be bringing, it's a way to come together. And like you said, have those meaningful conversations that bring everybody together. And nothing is more meaningful than talking about death and life after death. But a movie like this frames it in such an inspirational, not desperational way.
So we want to introduce you to the Disney movie Soul. And if you haven't seen it, you must see it. It's a must-see.
On Disney Plus?
Yes, on Disney Plus. And it's about the life of Joe Gardner and also the death of Joe Gardner and what he does in his life and how he is so focused on his one sole purpose, his music, that he misses the whole idea of his life purpose because he thinks his purpose is music, which it partly is. He misses the connections and the relationships and the beauty of life in these small spaces of life. And so this, we're not going to go through the whole movie, but this idea is that he mentors a little being, a little maybe girl. Her name is 22. And 22 is looking for a mentor to help her find her one sole purpose. But really the idea is that there is no one sole purpose, and you can lose yourself by thinking that it is. And the whole premise is to find life, is to enjoy life and be in life fully.
And we build programs around these ideas. Ariela's is My Soul Garden, mine is My Soul Choice or Your Soul Choice, and they're both about living out the message of this movie, which is, like you're talking about, to live out your divine spark, but it's not necessarily the thing you think it is or the activity you're engaged in. You are a spark. You are enough. And that's an important message that we try and give over and over again. And we see it, especially in the afternoon of life, the second half of life, is an opportunity to stop the rat race, right? It's old saying, if you win the rat race, you're still a rat. And nothing gets rats. And the idea is that in the afternoon of life, you finally get to step off the treadmill of life and say, you know what? I am enough. And this movie really drives that point home.
It does. It really begs the question to what we both ask in different ways. You always ask, what is my name? And I ask, who am I? And that really is the defining moment in Joe's life, is that he realizes that who he is underneath music. And the whole idea of life is to step off, like you said, step off the pedestal of what Western society asks of us, what the world says to us, but what do you do? What you do is not your divine spark. Who you are is your divine spark. And so we go through this discussion of, your divine spark is found through surrendering, through trusting, through knowing that you are the divine, that there's an expansion in you, and everything else will come together in trust and surrender.
And to sum it up with Wayne Dyer's quote, don't die with your music still in you. This is a story about finding the true music, not necessarily the music that Joe Gardner in the movie thought he was playing, but the music of his life is the music, and he finally learned how to express it, and that's when he finally started to live. And that's what we see with the people who we meet at Soul Centered. It's everybody is different, but they all have a common thread of every single person I think I've met at Soul Centered wants to live their music.
Absolutely.
And that's what this is about, and that's what the series is about.
So we hope you join us and check out our videos and our podcast, and you can find us more on all of the social media outlets and also our website. And we will be continuing with this conversation of introducing more movies to you, to invite you into a conversation with us. You are our community, and also to bring that out into your community so we can have more meaningful conversations. And with that, we wish you a heartfelt namaste.
And send us any recommendations you have for movies. We're open to them. We are doing this series on life after life and life before life, but that's not the only series, so send us your suggestions. Also, there's a guide, a study guide and conversation guide you can get over at mysoulcenter.org to help you navigate this movie. So until the next time, peace.
Namaste.